I am so excited for this video because of the author, illustrator, writer, graphic novelist, the artist that I get to talk about, and how much I loved everything they did. Today, I get to talk about the works of Kay O'Neill. If you don't know who Kay O'Neill is, I'm sorry. Your life's about to get exponentially so much better, cuter, fluffier, cozier, welcoming. It's about to exponentially get so much better just by having the ability to enjoy this artist's stories, their characters, their work of art. It's just gorgeous. Every book has a very wholesome, meaningful message at its core, whether it's dealing with insecurities, dealing with your own self-worth in a community, dealing with grief, dealing with loving someone in grief, dealing with feeling lost, discovering yourself, trying to find out who you are now, dealing with time lost. Every single book at its core is about being gentle to yourself and those around you and giving them the space and the freedom to be flawed and imperfect creatures, as we all are. Every book is just lovely, gorgeous. I will probably say that this book is lovely, gorgeous, just at every turn in this video, and I am not sorry about it. It is so beautiful. I have sped read through all of their bibliography. I haven't sped read. I have slowly and thoughtfully read and consumed and processed all of their art, and I love it. I am going to go in this order simply by the ones that I enjoyed least to most. No, that's not right. From I enjoyed it to my favorites. I enjoyed all of these. I recommend all of these. I think everybody should read everything Kay O'Neill writes, touches, looks at, recommends. But I'm going to go through them in an order that I think kind of just culminates with just the best trilogy that they have written, illustrated, created for us. The first book that I want to talk about is definitely geared at a younger audience. All of these are aimed at young adult, middle grade individuals, but this one is definitely a younger audience book, Dewdrop. Look at that gorgeous cover. Dewdrop follows Dewdrop the axolotl as he and his friends prepare for the annual Pond Sports Festival. Very important. If you are a kid, and if you're an unathletic kid, the sports festivals and the sports fairs are always the worst. I dreaded field day here in the United States. I was never good at it. I did the ones where I had to move the least because I was just so unathletic. This book is so cute. Everybody in the sports fair is excited. They're ready to support each other. But as the sports fair draws near, he sees that his friends are actually feeling very nervous about what they're going to be doing. And they start feeling insecure. And so Dewdrop takes it upon himself to ensure that his friends are properly cheered on, since his job is to cheer on his friends. His friends are doing like muscle competitions, music, cooking for the sports fair, and his job is to cheer everyone on to the best of his ability. In this panel, we see Mia as she tries out for the sports fair. Please see, that's Mia. That's everyone she's up against. So there are some pretty big kids in this sports fair. As she sees how strong everybody else is, she starts feeling insecure. One of Dewdrop's friends is singing at the sports fair, and he doesn't think his song is any good. His other friends are cooking for the sports fair, and they want to make the best food possible for the sports fair, but they're concerned that they won't be able to please everybody and that people won't like their food. It's impossible to please everybody, and this is a message even adults struggle to really process. Hence, we have people pleasers that have no boundaries. We should learn from Dewdrop. Do your best, that's all you can do. So this book is definitely much lighter on text. It's extremely cute. That's the opening panel. In gorgeous Kay O'Neill fashion, the art is just to die for. I only say that it's geared at a younger audience because of the minimal amount of text throughout the story. The panels themselves are pretty self-explanatory. You can tell everybody's emotions just by their expressions. And it's just a very simple plot. You're just trying to cheer your friends on and make sure they're happy. And then, probably one of my favorite things about Kay O'Neill books, at the end of every book, there's a little, I don't know, extra, a little appendix about what inspired the characters, about the animals that the characters are based off of. We get to know more about the axolotl and their friends. So we get to know about Dewdrop the axolotl, Mia, the yellow-bellied slider, which is a type of turtle, so it says. Also, I love these little minnows. minnows, my bad. Newman is a newt, how appropriate. And the cooks are minnows, that's why, the cooks are minnows. And they give you little facts about minnows, a little facts about the axolotl, the newts. It's just gorgeous. And then they recommend all of other Kay O'Neill's art and works. Please go read them. So that's Dewdrop. Really loved it, very cute. I would give this to, I would say probably 2nd to 3rd grade max. I would definitely give this to younger kids that are struggling with the sports fair, that are struggling with coming to terms with their insecurities of being next to bigger kids or anything like that. So that's who I would really gear this to. I think if you read this to older, like elementary schoolers, they probably get offended about reading such a obvious kids book. But for younger audiences, it's great to help build confidence and to help them realize that being flawed is okay, and that really the only thing that anybody expects, like Dewdrop of his friends, is for you to try your best. I recently read this one, and I'm only adding it here because of the fact that this one is different from the other books, and while I did very much enjoy it, it is a longer read. So that's the book aimed at the youngest audience that I can determine. And then this is one of the longer pieces. The longest. The book I'm talking about is Moth Keeper. Moth Keeper is a full graphic novel. This is definitely older YA, I would say. Older middle grade. I would say it's still YA just because of how dense this book is. The art is as gorgeous as ever. Kay O'Neill can't draw anything ugly to save their life, but it does have more abstract messaging. There's childhood abandonment. There is a story of like isolation at the center of this. In Moth Keeper, we follow Anya as she has taken on the role as protector of the moon moths. Her responsibility is to take these moths out nightly to feed in the desert and then bring them home safely in the morning. This is kind of like herding, but completely alone in the dark with nothing but your thoughts to keep you company. And that's where Anya gets lost in the sadness and the darkness that haunts her that she can't really overcome. This novel starts off with the legend of how the moon moths came to be what they were. It starts off with the sad moon spirit feeling lonely because nobody stays up at night, and a group of people that have decided to take it upon themselves to keep the moon spirit and the moon moths company at night. And that's why there's this entire village and an entire settlement dedicated to living at night and caring for the moon moths, which were gifts from the grateful and thankful moon spirit. The book starts off with someone helping someone else. It's a group of normal humans helping and caring for a spirit, a creature considered more powerful, all-powerful, omnipotent, and almost isolated because of the fact that they are deities. But the deity starts off the book being sad because they're alone in the desert by themselves. And then we immediately meet Anya, who has taken on this torch of herding the moths in the desert alone by herself. This book really centers around community, found family, and trying to work through your sense of self-worth or lack thereof, and coming to understand that a community, especially the community in the way that this is, a healthy community, is like an extended family. And you don't have to earn your place. You don't have to earn their help, their understanding, or their compassion. There are multiple examples of people with disabilities thriving in this community because of the support system in place and the expectation that everyone is going to extend a helping hand to one another. There is also an individual in the book that is an outsider. Anya herself feels like an outsider because she was from a different village. And we figure out that she was lost and possibly abandoned by her mentally ill mother, her unstable mother, a mother that was lost and suffering herself. And she found her way into this village as a young child. She is not the only transplant into this village in the book, and we see how a strong sense of community helped the first person and how community will eventually help Anya if she allows herself the space and the forgiveness to herself to ask for help and not feel like she is earning her place at every single turn. She's struggling to not only feel like she has to earn her spot and her place to belong and to earn help and community. And she's struggling with asking for help, even though she's clearly suffering. But there is also a lot of guilt and self-loathing because of a very hidden secret that Anya has that she feels contradicts her role that she wanted to take as the protector of the moon moths. So she struggles with self-loathing, she struggles with isolation, depression, and loneliness. She struggles with asking people for help because she doesn't feel like she wants to burden anyone. And when all of this culminates, she gets to see a version of herself that turned away from everybody the way she has been, and the long, sad loneliness that this other person had to bear, and how simply remembering that your community, your loved ones, and your friends still care about you and they're waiting for you to remember to look back at them and to come home was so satisfying, so nurturing and healing. Anya had to go through this journey alone in the night, in the physical night, in the figurative night, in the night of her mind, for her to realize that she had always had a place in this community. And this book, along with its gorgeous art, with its varieties of just its beautiful cast. Let me hood up. Let me see. It has such a diverse cast and such a gorgeous color palette. I absolutely loved it. And the chapters are marked by moths, and it's just such a beautiful creative use of the page itself, of the panels. Even though the panels are a little more uniform than I would typically like, having panels that were all over the place, really dynamic, really crazy, I think would have taken and distracted a little bit from the very delicate story that this book is telling. And I think it would have added almost noise when Anya's going through a very silent, quiet, isolated journey. And by having panels that are a little more structured with color palettes that are muted, you get that quietude that just encompasses Anya's life. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. This is definitely longer though. It took me about 2 days splitting it up just so I could process it slowly. I'm also a slow reader. This is a little bit longer, but that's the only reason I had it towards the front of the video. The Moth Keeper. Really recommended. I would recommend this for older middle school, definitely high school, that just want a cozy reminder that your friends, your families, your found families don't ask you to validate your self-worth at every turn. They are there to welcome you home as soon as you're ready to ask for help. Disclaimer, that's not always the case, and that is why we have broken homes and we have broken people and broken communities, and it's unfortunate. But a healthy community, a healthy found family, a healthy support system isn't asking you to prove your worth to them and what you bring to them and to the table. They love you for who you are, your flaws. They want to help you. They want to bring the best out of you and build you up to be the best that you are. And you in turn want the same for them. So just a disclaimer, not all communities, not all families are like this, and it's a sad place to be, but this book is a reminder that there are places like that. Oh, and the back of the book, of course, we get the inspiration. We get early sketches. This is just such a lovely, just a treat to see after enjoying such a beautiful book. All these beautiful books. The next book I'm going to be talking about is Princess Ever After. In this book, we follow the heroic Princess Amira as she saves the kind-hearted Princess Sadie that doesn't want to be saved. However, it's much more complicated than that. As the story progresses, we find out that Princess Amira was at one point a traditional princess and decided to become a hero when she realized she was going to have to marry someone that she didn't like, and that did not sit well with her. Princess Sadie was locked away in a tower by an evil witch for reasons we will eventually come to find, and as these two young princesses find their place in the world as a hero and as an exiled princess, they grow closer in their friendship as they overcome all of these obstacles. They take on some ogres. They find a very unimpressive prince. Let's see. Yeah, they find a noble prince stuck in a tree. And it is just the cutest, most charming story of just two girls trying to chart a course for themselves. I also absolutely support Kay O'Neill's picture of themselves at the end. I would represent as a tea dragon if I could too. The art is fantastic and exactly what we would expect out of a Kay O'Neill book. It's beautiful. There is a little dragon. Hold up, what's his name? What is this little dragon's name? Oliver. Oliver the dragon. So cute. And it's just a very fun, short little book with a very strong message for little girls everywhere. Also, the cover, again, just winning. I would recommend this book probably for like middle school kids. It's just a fun reminder to chart your own course, even if it takes time, because there's a time gap between the beginning and the end. That sets very healthy expectations that you don't get to where you want to be overnight. It's a journey. I will say that the only reason this one is higher on the list than Princess Ever After is simply because I like the art. Like, this art for me is just slightly more beautiful, cuter, prettier than Princess Ever After. Not that it's bad. Like I said, none of these books are bad. All of them are exceptional. But this is where we start with why I fell in love with Kay O'Neill's art. This book is Aquicorn Cove. This book is Aquicorn Cove. In this book, we follow Lana and her father as they visit a seaside town to clean up after a storm, a hurricane that has wrecked the village. As they're cleaning this town, helping others, saving the crops that they can, saving the buildings, and trying to start over with the town, Lana finds an aquicorn in a, what is it? She finds an injured aquicorn in, aquicorn? I am mispronouncing this all over. She finds an injured aquicorn in a coral reef pond and she nurses it back to health. Her aunt, who is a very important figure in her life and very strong after her mother passes, tells her what the aquicorn is and how to nurse it back to health. But we come to find out that her Auntie May actually knows a lot more than she's willing to discuss, because of the history that she has being a lifetime resident of this village and the pain that came with decisions that she made many years ago. The art in this book is beautiful. I love, just look at that. How do you not fall in love with a character like that? Look at her. I'd fall in love with her too. And it's beautiful to see the sea lives. I originally got it because of the fact that it's set in the water. And I love anything in the water, and I love the art in this book. This book also tackles the very heavy subject of humans' impact on their surroundings, even when they don't see it or they choose not to see it. This village has changed their fishing ways and their fishing methods, and it is impacting the coral reefs around their village, and that is why they're having such treacherous storms. As the story progresses, Lana has to confront the people that she relies on for support and has to plead with them to change not only the way that they fish, but their entire way of life to be more sustainable and impact the environment, specifically the coral reef and the ocean, less. There are characters, the beautiful, gosh, what is her name? Her. I think her name is Or has been trying to tell Auntie May that she needs to have more sustainable practices. The practices that her mother's grandmothers used for fishing that supported the coral reef, and the coral reef could in turn protect the village. Due to just stubborn human nature and this human habit to believe that if I'm not completely with one thing, I must be against it, is what tears May and R apart, and what causes this rift and this misunderstanding that continues to the present day of the book, and why there's so many storms that are almost destroying the village. Yet there's always a balance, a compromise, and a middle ground that, if approached with an open heart and the willingness to try to change and ensure that everyone benefits, you can come to a compromise that isn't going against anybody, but just helping the whole. Just because more than one person is benefiting doesn't mean that you're going against your people. It just means that you have found a solution that is good for your people and the others, which is a win-win situation, especially when you talk about the impacts that humans have on the coral reefs, for example, and their ability to protect the village. Without the coral reefs, the village is screwed. And it takes these disasters for May to realize she was right the whole time. And it took Lana and this awful storm to help May heal, to help the village heal. And R also wasn't trying to ruin her lover and the village. She was very open to teaching the villagers how to make the most of everything that the sea has to give them. They just didn't know how to make use of the abundance. It was knowledge that was lost. It was knowledge that was never had. But because of this compromise, they're able to make even more use of what the sea offers without affecting any one population so strongly that they can't recover. So this book was extremely lovely, very beautiful, very wonderful, lovely message, especially in a time similar to what we're in now, where younger generations care about things that older generations just never did. And this is a message to the younger generations that you can stand up to your caregivers without betraying them. You just don't want anybody to hurt anymore, and that there must be a better way to solve these problems that other people have just written off as the way things are. The only reason things are the way they are is because people allow them to. If enough people cared, there would be a change. And May's entire argument was, my one village can't save the ocean. No, it can't. But it can save this little coral reef, and it can save your village. And now, I don't think I can go through each of these books because I think I'd be here for another hour. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody has time for that. So I will only say that what started this, and what to me is probably the most beautiful art that Kay O'Neill has given us, is the Tea Dragon Society. These are the 3 hardcover books. I checked them out at my library simply because I haven't bought my own box set, because I am moving and I'm going to reward myself for exercising restraint when I get there. There's a Tea Dragon card game. There's just so much Tea Dragon stuff, right? And this is where it started. I randomly picked it out at my library. I'm not sure if I want to buy it. Shame on me. I should have immediately bought it. Or maybe not, because then I wouldn't have the whole box set. But these books follow Tea Dragon caretakers as they live and thrive as in Tea Dragon husbandry. And if that's not the most beautiful thing in the world, I don't know what is. The art is spectacular. Hold up. All right. Each of these books follows a lovely cast of diverse characters as they go through their lovely, beautifully mundane day-to-day as Tea Dragon caregivers, as blacksmiths, as people trying to find their way. And you get their little pictures on the back of each book. And these are the characters and the main stories that you follow in each of these. And each of these books has a message of healing, has a message of self-acceptance, and has as an example of what a true community is. All of these books have community and support, and a support system at its core that is nurturing and encouraging people of questioning themselves, their futures, and what they want. And each of these books has a different version of the same cast, and I love seeing the cast in different points of their lives from different perspectives. And each of these books is about healing, self-love, and having the courage to ask what makes you happy and who are you now. It's the most beautiful thing to have. I think one of the most courageous things anybody could ever say is, I am not happy. Because that carries a lot of weight, in that for a person to get to the point that they're not happy, that means decisions were made that brought them here. That means there are circumstances that must be addressed to rectify this. And I think having an environment where you are encouraged to ask yourself if you're happy with yourself, and ask yourself who you want to be in the future, is extremely important and nurtures an environment of emotional regulation and safety. Because by the time someone has the courage to say they're unhappy, they're ready to take the steps, hopefully, to address the reason they're not unhappy. And conversations might be had and difficult self-reflections might be had, but they had the space and the safe environment, to have the courage and the freedom to be able to say, I don't know if this is what I want anymore. I don't know if I'm happy anymore. And these books encourage that discourse, encourage asking the difficult questions, and it sets the example of what a good community, a nurturing partnership, a nurturing support system looks like for kids, young adults, anybody that picks up these books. The inside of the covers are always gorgeous. Kay O'Neill's just, their people just deliver. And I'm gonna get out the way. I'm not important. The book is important. And there's so much gorgeous art just highlighted throughout. This book is huge, gorgeous. I get to see the beautiful details of all of these tea dragons. And then at the end of the Tea Dragon Society one, you get a glimpse into the Tea Dragon Handbook. And you get little bios and kind of like character cards of each tea dragon and their personalities and what they're like. The inside of the Tea Dragon Festival is the same. And all of the chapters showcase a beautiful snapshot of all of these beautiful characters. The first book is actually the shortest one as well. All of the other ones are actually quite chunky, especially for their size. And I love that because it's about time. Like I can't get enough of tea dragons. Hold up, I'm looking for one specific one. Wait, is it at the end? This guy, look at how grumpy he is. I love that. That is my tea dragon. I would have a very grumpy tea dragon. Because the tea dragons also kind of match the personalities of their caretakers. So it's just the best. And then the Tea Dragon Tapestry, which is the third in the trilogy. More beautiful kit art on the inside. And then what do these look like? Look at that. Just the tea dragons. Oh my gosh. And then at the end of this one, we have the illustrated history of tea dragons, which is important. I would buy the Tea Dragon Handbook in a heartbeat if it was all like, it doesn't even have to be fully illustrated. If Kay O'Neill ever stumbles upon this video, like God forbid, this is probably terrible and I'm sure people with better videography skills have talked about it. I would buy a book that is the illustrated history of tea dragons. I would buy anything that Kay O'Neill tells me is about tea dragons. Did I go through the last? Wait, what's at the end of this one? Because there's always something at the end. Oh my goodness. There are alpine tea dragons. There are different regional tea dragons. And these are about the grumpy tea dragons from the Alpines. Just how gorgeous is that? I would be here forever just gushing about these 3 books. I would probably, well, how much time do I have left? It would probably take me more than just 3 hours for me to talk about how amazing this entire trilogy is, how healing, how gorgeous, how perfect of a gift this would be. I would recommend this to absolutely anybody. There is no age. There is nothing uncool, in my opinion. What do I know though? I might have been a really uncool high schooler. But if anybody had ever given me this book with this art, I would probably still have it to this day. As someone that holds on to books that have significant meaning, as someone that actually turns to children's books a lot for a reminder that I can do it, a reminder to be gentle, and a reminder to be kinder to myself than I would be on a normal basis, this collection, this box set, would probably be a collection of books that's my go-to when I'm feeling insecure, when I'm feeling lost, when I feel like I'm wasting time, when I feel like I'm not moving fast enough, when I feel like I'm not good enough. This world, this family, this village is a place for me to come and be reminded that sometimes taking things slow is okay. And I think that's a very important message, especially in a world that moves so quickly right now. There's also a collection called She Persisted. That's also another one that I regularly go to for just when I'm feeling like down, when it's a bad day, because everybody has those bad days. And this book makes it okay to have bad days. This trilogy makes it okay to take your time to heal, to take your time to process the changes, to ask if you're happy. And it sets the example of a support structure that will love you through the grief. There is a whole book in here that's about loving someone through grief, about how their mourning is not a reflection of your value or lack thereof in their life. It is a completely personal journey. You are just there to support them throughout the journey. And I think that's a really important message that these books really drive home. It's the sense of community, the sense of family, the safety that comes from not only living much longer, again, humans are such limited creatures, but also from being comfortable enough with yourself to give that freedom and space to someone else. All of these people in these books, the support structures, the people that are uplifting others, they all have their own trials and tribulations that we get a sneak peek into as what they went through as part of their growth. But the key to a healthy support structure, I think, is that the person or the people you're counting on for that also need to be happy with themselves. You don't get support from someone who's insecure. You don't get support from someone who's unhappy or repressed or unable to process their feelings of anger and grief and whatever other painful memories they have that they haven't had the emotional capacity to process for one reason or another. Mental health is still a very new subject, and it's not common. It's not common, especially in ethnic homes. It's very difficult as like a Latina growing up. And if I had ever told my mom I was depressed, she'd be like, what are you talking about? Get cleaning. This sets the example that there are people that have healed and are ready to help you through your journey and give you the safety that you might not have, but can go and find in what it looks like. So I think these books are all kind of just like cute therapy. Like that's what this is. This is just you wanting to curl up with an adorable tea dragon, tell it your problems, and then drink some tea and hope that you didn't sour it with your adult problems. These books, I think about these books so often. I think about Kay O'Neill's art. I think about this book so much. I think about, oh, there's a fly. What? I think about these books and every book that Kay O'Neill draws, illustrates, writes so often. I am going to buy the box set. I am going to be way too excited. I'm also going to buy the game. And hopefully by the time I get around to buying this, there's like something else about tea dragons, because I will happily purchase that also. That is it for this lovely, beautiful video. I had such fun filming this because I got to talk about one of my favorite artists, one of my favorite books, some of my favorite books that I love. This trilogy that I just absolutely adore. My shelf will never be complete until I put these on the shelf. That is how much I love these books. And I might actually buy everything Kay O'Neill just puts out, honestly. Like anything they put together, I'm gonna just go buy it. But this was so fun. And I think this is the first time I do like an author highlight, author spotlight, I guess. I might do this more often when I read like larger collections or almost like bibliographies of authors. Maybe I don't read series typically. I read a lot of standalone. So this was a little different. And some of these are actually standalone. The only ones that are actually trilogies are the Tea Dragon Society ones. But I needed to speak about the contribution that Kay O'Neill is making, not only to the book community and the art community and the graphic novels, but to the lives of everybody that happens upon these books and gets to enjoy the warmth of the stories and the encouragement that these stories provide. Let me know what you think of Kay O'Neill's books. Let me know what you think of any of these books that you've read, you haven't read. If you haven't read these, please go get them. I am pretty sure every single public library in this country has them, should have them. Someone needs to have them. Drive to the library that has them. Read them there if you're not a member. Like, these books are so lovely and beautiful. And talk to me about them, because I hope I'm the last one to this party. But I'm going to probably be the loudest one at the party, reminding everybody at every turn, have you read this book? If you haven't, go get them now. That's it for this video. I will definitely be doing more like author spotlight videos. The next one I'm going to be doing, I know for a fact, is going to be Hong Kong's. Totally different vibes. That is all sorts of trauma. but very lovely and just beautiful as well. Catch you guys next time. Bye!